obviously they press a lot, Shauna, but your team has seen it for years now. So what's the value do you think of your team having been through that experience a few times?
I mean, I think the experience against something like that is key, because that first time, we're up 17 that first year, and then all of a sudden they ramp it up in the second half, and it's like you don't know it until you feel it, because it comes in waves. Last year, even rewatching the game and breaking it down, the press isn't necessarily, why we lost the game. It was a 2-possession game in the fourth. We were leading all the way up to the fourth, and JC made some big time shots. Celeste did. We didn't execute on a couple, couldn't, miss some shots, had a couple turnovers, but it wasn't like the first time we played them. So I think we got better. Now hopefully third time's a charm, and now we can, really have great execution in our press break and making really good decisions, because it affects you. It's different. No one really plays like that. But no doubt having those guards back and having played against it for 2 years should help us.
No, they've said Cody McMahon's day to day. I mean, what do you maybe anticipate if she's going to play, and maybe how different have they looked when she's been out?
She's playing. I mean, there's no way Cody's missing, and no way Kevin's going to not, unless she's really that hurt. But if she's day to day, and they brought her back and played in Belmont, hasn't played in any other games, and we're planning on her playing. They do. They look a lot different without her. Obviously, it's like how we would look if one of our main guys is not on the floor. So she just does so much for them. She's the one the first year that they really went too heavy when they made that run against us in the second half. She's just different. She's strong. She has her shots better from 3 now. She can drive you. She can post you up. She's a really great player, and plays the game really, really hard. So they look a lot different, but we are anticipating and fully expecting her to be out there.
How are you guys? Do you expect your injury list to trim up at all going into this?
For us, we're like Cody. We're all day to day. Barry's making progress. She may be available as long as she stays on path. Obviously, Gretchen's day to day. So we're kind of in the same boat as what they are. I think we're getting better in terms. We got Jazz back now. Got a game under her belt. Got her a lot of minutes. So she helps us so much just having her back, because it can give Makaira some breaks. We can now have another defender that we can bump over and have Dal and her both out there, so Makaira doesn't have to guard maybe one of the better guards for 40 minutes. Just helps us so much in that depth. Now if we can have our full slate, which we haven't had all year, even in practice, I think this team could be really, really special.
I don't know that we've asked you specifically about Shay recently, but how is she, and kind of what's been her process?
Yeah, she's just dealing with the back issue, and it's really the same thing day to day of how she feels. She won't be back for Sunday, I can tell you that much. But yeah, it's just, it's day to day really.
No, on the radio after the game on Monday night, you're just talking about maybe using the last 5 days to kind of a little differently. What have you maybe kind of done the last 5 days, and maybe how beneficial maybe has that been for your team?
Well, we needed it. We needed a little bit of time. So we had the day off, the next day completely off. Then we practiced for a little over an hour that next day, whatever that was, and had a really good practice. And this is where it's hard, right? So you're a little banged up. Your numbers are smaller. You don't have your normal lineups and rotations. So as a coach, sometimes you want to pull back. Well, for me and what I had to just kind of make a realization, how we play and what we do, you can't just walk through what we do. I want our kids to play too hard. We need to be gritty and tough and defend, and that's hard to go through or try to cut back on. So we're just gonna go quality over quantity, and we're still gonna be really intense. We're just gonna go probably shorter than what we normally do. So we kind of got back to who we normally are. We couldn't do that leading up to Canisius. I pulled way back, and even leading up to the Nashville tournament, because we were just so banged up. So we're gonna go hard today. Again, not overly long, but we're gonna be us, and we're gonna compete, and we're gonna play tough, and we're gonna play hard, because that's the only way we know.
One more about Barry. If Barry is available, this isn't like a bye game, right? So how do you think you can prepare her for going into an Ohio State and for really significant minutes for the first time?
That's hard too, Joe. It's hard. It's like her first, the only game she was available for was, again, first college game against Florida State, right? And she didn't play that much, and it wasn't because of what she did. It was more Bryn was playing so well, and obviously a veteran. But I mean, at the end of the day, we're gonna need her, and so I'll see how she feels, and my thing is, I'm like, oh, this is like for her, she's probably gonna be so nervous, but then I'm like, this could be great. She could feel, at home. There's gonna be a lot of people there. Maybe she just goes out there and just throw her into the fire. So she's gonna play some. We'll see how she reacts to it, and we'll kind of go from there.
You just talked about how teams have maybe approached you with not the 3-point shooting not coming together like you'd like it to. What have you maybe seen from that, and do you almost feel like it's going to rebound at some point, given where your numbers have been the last couple of years?
I hope so. That's a hope. Because we just haven't been shooting it well, and I mean the numbers prove it. I'm not telling anyone any secret, right? You can look at our numbers, and people are playing us accordingly. They're, with Dell, they've always gone under heavy, which is fine. She's still scoring and still getting to the rim even with people going under. So she's going to continue to do what she does. But yeah, it does, no doubt about it. It affects. We got to hit some open shots, and we're getting open shots. We got to hit them. So how do you do that? The only way I know, and the only way I tell our players is, repetition leads to confidence. Confidence leads to success. So you got to get in, and you got to get in the gym, and you just got to get a lot of shots up. And in practice now, and that's also goes back to, you have people with injuries, and you have people being limited, and how much is too much, and are they getting in the gym to get extra shots because we're having to pull back? So all that stuff is kind of like, kind of all adds up. So this week also, to go along with what you said, we also had them all get in on the gun just to get reps, and they had to get in with their coach and get a ton of shots up. So we were very intentional this week with getting more just reps, and then pulling back in a couple days of just true recovery and having a plan for them recovery wise, and using all of our resources here. And then also when we practice, we're getting after it.
Are you feeling like even if those aren't falling, you're still getting the effort and intensity on the other side, where maybe younger teams don't have that same kind of wherewithal?
I have been pretty happy with we're still defending, even though those aren't going in. Now, I thought we had lapses at Canisius for whatever reason. It wasn't a total lapse, it was just here or there. And we got to be able to put 40 minutes together. I think that's why we won Marquette. Our defense was unbelievable against Florida State, who is their number 1 or 2 in scoring, right? So we've shown consistent stretches, and then Kentucky in the fourth. Again, it was a 5-minute stretch where they were hitting everything and we weren't. We went 10 empty possessions, and they capitalized on every one, and that's how it goes from a 2-possession game to 15. So yes, I think we're getting better, but we still have to get a lot better.
When you have like Kendall and Brent playing so many minutes, for like a substitution standpoint, how do you guys maybe steal a few real-time minutes before media timeout, or like what's that process like?
It's hard because we just don't have the depth. So that's where Barry's going to be really important, because Barry can play the 4. So that could give Bryn a little bit of a breather. And then I can put Brennan at the 5, and we can give KB a breather, and Haven's still a freshman, and a freshman is just, I know Barry's a freshman too, and so it's hard to keep them against certain, and then Haven's being 6'6", it's a lot of matchups. Like, can you, when people are going smaller, she was able to play more in Oregon State because they had a true 5. So a lot of it's matchup driven. The great thing is that KB and Bryn can sustain, and we know KB's played 38, 40 minutes pretty much her whole career. But I also do think that there's something to be said with, do some of those shots and cumulative effect. Could they fall in the fourth if I can steal a minute here or there? And same thing with Makaira. Like, I need to try to get her a couple more minutes break, so now in the fourth she can be fresher. And that is going to be huge with the Jasmine coming back. So I know I got to try to find ways, and I got to be better at that. But then it's hard when you look at, I'm looking down there, and you just don't have a lot of the depth.
Does that maybe you need a coach, one of your assistants to kind of say, well, let's get her some minutes? I mean, how do you kind of, or when you're thinking about Makaira or whoever it is, how do you kind of keep reminding yourself, just trying to steal those minutes?
I mean,
where you can.
Yeah, we haven't really had those options, because with Jasmine out, a lot of it's matchup driven,
Sure.
and then you have to have Makaira out there because she's such a threat. People are, even if she's not hitting, people are going to guard her. And then Gretchen's been not 100%, so I've tried to, I've had to pull her back. So I mean, I'm conscious of it, and our staff is conscious of it, and we're constantly looking. But then, if a game's tight, I mean, I'm gonna go with the guys that have proven it, right?
Yeah.
And that's where, again, we need a couple more, we need just Jazz back is huge. I was able to, get Makaira a couple little breaks at Canisius just because of that. Even though Gretchen was out that game.
Sure.
We gain one, we lose one.
Seems like it's like
if we can just keep gaining, I'll be good.
What maybe have you just seen from Bryn just evolution in terms of rebounding? This season. I mean, she's almost doubled her rebounds from last season.
How she's playing right now, I know again with Bryn, like the scoring, she hit a 3. I think she can still score more, no doubt about it. But her rebounding and her defense, she's someone you can't really have off the floor. It's almost like how I feel with KB because they're just so solid defensively. She's always knowing what's going on. She's actually, for being someone that I've for 3 years have been on about talking, she actually communicates on the floor one of the highest levels. She's always talking. She has a great understanding of the game. So she's just such an integral piece out there. It's been kind of hard to get her, and then with just the lack of size and depth in that position, and she's been able to sustain. So I really love how she's rebounding. I love her defensive mindset, her positioning. She's always in the right spot. So when someone's like that, they're kind of like that glue piece. They may not score a lot for you, but they do so many other things, and our players trust her. Her teammates really trust her, so when she's on the floor, they feel more confident defensively.
Do you still feel a gravity for your shooters even if the shots aren't falling, or are you anticipating that lessening until some of us they fall away? Do you feel teams are still defending like they're going to hit them at the 35% clip or whatever?
You mean, are they getting out there
Do you
and
still
still
feel like
guarding?
Tyler, like,
Yeah,
do you still have that gravity?
I do.
closer?
I do. I think that they, they're still guarding them normal. They're not like playing off. They're still going, for the majority, they're still going over on screens. For 3 years, people have gone under Dal, and that's fine. They're going to continue. Just not even because she's not hitting shots, because of how well she's getting to the rim at such an elite level. I would go under her. And I would say, let's go under, and if she starts hitting from behind, that's great, but we're not going to we're not going to foul her, and we're going to fan her out. So that's how I would guard her. But I still think people are guarding, Makaira, Jen, Gretchen, with the same mindset that they're really good players and they haven't shot it well yet, but they're capable.
What have you seen from Haven? I mean, it's kind of hard to gauge expectations for freshmen at any point, but in the minutes she's played, what have you seen from her?
I actually think that she's getting better every day, and I really do, and I'm really proud of her because, again, being a freshman's hard. Being a freshman big is extremely hard. They usually take a little bit longer. The thing I love about Haven is she goes about her business every day in a consistent manner. She works her butt off. She's in that gym with Coach Kat all the time, getting extra workouts in. She's doing extra stuff with Kylie. You can coach her. She wants to be coached. You can coach her hard, and she's just going to look at you and be like, yes, because she wants to be good. And when a player attacks it like that, and when a player has that mindset, and they just work, they just roll up their sleeves. There's no drama. It's just old blue collar work. You're going to get better. There's no other way. So I'm really proud of her, and I'm really excited about where she's going to get. And I got to give her a little bit. I got to give her some grace as she is a freshman. As long as you're working hard, I can deal with that, and she's doing everything that she needs to do right now.